Hey everybody, it's Dave here and Darren over there. We're your two old bloggers, been doing this for over 2 decades, peace commenting publicly on your Minnesota Vikings. Today we've got a show for you. We've got three themes as usual. The first one, Kirko changed. Is it Chainz or is it changed? We'll find out because it looks like it may be the latter. Second one, we get into Justin Jefferson and how I love learning about how I loved to learn and love the 50-50 ball. Yes, I could be Slim Pickens riding the bomb down. You bet, baby. And hopefully Justin Jefferson is just that as he's riding Kirk Cousins passes down into the end zone. And finally, we get into the Bills and the Vikings. Who are the Vikings going to play? Is it Josh Allen? Is it Case Keenum? Where will the miracle in Minneapolis happen again with Case Keenum to Stephon Diggs? Who knows? We'll find out shortly. Climb in the Pocket, Daily Norseman, and Lake Monster Brewing presents Two Old Bloggers. Starting now. Hey everybody, I want to say hi to Raymond, to Dan, and to Jonathan in the remarks. Welcome to the show. Hey, there's been some weird glitching stuff happening before the show. Don't know what it is. This show is only broadcasting live on YouTube. It is not going to Facebook for some reason. They probably changed their code again. Can't stand that, but that happens every once in a while. If you have friends over that normally watch on Facebook, tell them to come on over. But in the meantime, it's Saturday, and it's time for your pregame show. But first, let me introduce my partner in crime, the one that's been doing this as long as I have, Mr. Darren Campbell, sitting right over there. How you doing, Darren?
I'm doing okay, David. Got a bit of a cold or something, not COVID though, because I got tested today and it came back negative. But sore throat, so I apologize to everybody for the scratchy voice you're going to be hearing, and hopefully I'm not coughing all the time. And
That's
just
what whiskey's for. Kill that stuff.
oh yeah, I didn't get any whiskey, but gutting it out like a good Viking should be doing.
Yes. How's the weather up there in the frozen north?
Mild, but that means getting lots of snow. We had like 20 inches this past week, so I've been doing a lot of shoveling, David. Luckily, it's light snow. Not where I'm from, Nova Scotia. You get this slushy, heavy snow. It like feels like you're lifting up 50 pounds each time.
Mm-hmm.
So, don't get that kind of snow here in Yellowknife. Usually, it's kind of light, fluffy.
Dry.
Just that it happens in November. It happens like every damn day. So you're shoveling every day.
Yeah. When I lived in New Hampshire, they had that heavy, wet stuff, and
Yeah.
it was a workout. And as soon as you get done, the plows came through.
yeah.
Worked every time. All right. We're here to talk about Minnesota Vikings. So let's get that started. We titled this one, Ride Till I Can't No More, from Old Country Road song. That lyric comes from, and that's what we intend to do with Justin Jefferson and Kirk Cousins. And that's who are pictured here. So we go from that to first one, Kirk Kirko Chainz. You wanted to talk about this.
Yes, David. Since Kirk Cousins has been, thanks, Raymond. Don't have any blackberry brandy along, but maybe I'll get some tonight and have it for tomorrow's game. So thanks for the tip, the health tip, brought to you by Ray Hoagland. uh, yeah, Kirko Chainz. That's Christian Darrisaw's nickname for Kirk Cousins. Since Kirk Cousins came to the Vikings in 2018, uh, Vikings his leadership has been questioned, David. There's been,
Mhm. Oh
there's
yeah.
no doubt about that. Um, that part of that has to do with the record of the teams that he's been the quarterback for, that 500 record, and that's impacted how I think how fans and the media view Kirk Cousins as a quarterback and as a leader. I think it also has to do with Kirk Cousins, gosh, golly gee, kind of a apple pie person.
Uh-huh. Oh, and oh no. We're having technical problems down here, and it looks like maybe up there. But yes, oh, you're breaking in. You're breaking up. Kirk Cousins was there we go. Work on the alternate. But Kirk Cousins was the ultimate CEO quarterback, and we still got him frozen. Where, everything he said was, buy the book, what you'd want to hear, the whole works. And oh, no, I hope this day isn't going like this anymore. Come on, stop. Where you'd hear him say the rote things like, well, I have to watch the tape. Everything, I thought we played pretty well. Everything's good. No, and he's in his button up shirt and his dad looking and everything is all prim and proper. He's that gosh, golly gee guy, you know, very religious. And it wasn't, you rarely heard a curse word. You have heard it a few times this year, which is a new beginning, maybe.
I'm back, Dave.
Yes, I see. Our gremlins
Uh,
continue.
yeah, well, you've continued on that theme. Kirk Cousins, his record as a quarterback, his personality, I think those are two things that have made people look at his ability as a leader. He doesn't seem like the kind of guy that young football players of a certain age would really follow and lead, right?
Mm-mm.
Um, but this year, with the Vikings now going 7-1, I'm starting to read more in various circles about talking about how Kirk Cousins is a different person. He's his leadership is different than it has been in the previous years, and so. I wanted to explore that and see, might be some of the reasons for that. The first thing really is, David, when you're 7-0, you're a quarterback on a 7-1 team. People think that you crap gold, right?
Right.
Like so we've seen the photos again. Kirko Chainz on the airplanes now. The flights home, the Vikings players have got him wearing chains. Last week they got him to do it again. He took his shirt off, did a little bit of dancing. He ends up He's on all kinds of talk shows after this week. Made it on the Manning cast for Monday Night Football. So now you know that like Kirk Cousins is suddenly popular. He's suddenly a cool guy. And that happens when you play for a winning team and a team that's won as much as the
Mm-hmm.
Vikings have. But but it's still, that's winning. But I don't know whether he's been that much different. How much different is he as a leader now
Mm-hmm.
compared to his other 4 years with the Vikings or his previous years with the Redskins? You and I aren't there day to day with him
Mm-hmm.
with the team, so it's hard for us to tell. But I think that one thing that I think has made a difference is for Kirk Cousins is that Mike Zimmer isn't there anymore, David, and and it's pretty clear. Mike Zimmer never embraced Kirk Cousins. He wanted Teddy Bridgewater was his quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
That was the guy, the kid that he loved, the kid that he wanted to be the quarterback the whole time. He was a coach for the Vikings. That didn't happen. They bring in Kirk Cousins. Zimmer never really embraced him. I don't think he even liked him. He certainly didn't have a very good relationship with him, working relationship with him, and for that reason, I don't think that Kirk Cousins was able to be at ease on the Vikings while Mike Zimmer was there. He didn't play loose. I
Mm-mm.
think, and when you have a coach who doesn't appear to like you, probably didn't want you on the team, doesn't want you on the team, but he's going along with it. It's That's got to have an impact on how the players view you, uh, and also it's got to have an impact on how Kirk Cousins acts when he's around the team, when he's around the head coaches. So I think he was very tight his 4 years with Mike Zimmer. And I think that showed on the field. It showed in his media availability. It showed after games as well. So not having Mike Zimmer on the team, I think, has been a huge weight off of Kirk Cousins' shoulders, and that's helped him be a little bit different player, maybe as far as mentally, and also a little bit different leader. That's one big thing. I think another big thing is that um, Kirk Cousins really this year, he's not playing any better than he has in his previous 8 years as an unquestioned
Mm-mm.
starter. He might even be playing a little tick below the standard he's set in the
Stats wise,
previous,
he has
yeah,
played
yeah,
below.
in the previous four years with the Vikings. But one thing he has been doing, even if he's not playing, a whole lot better, is that he has been making some big time plays in big moments, like that 47-yard dime he threw under heavy pressure against Washington last week, uh, and it gets to Justin Jefferson, and we're down 17-7. It's a 3rd and 7, throws that dime, gets the comeback rolling. Or that 28-yard game-winning touchdown pass to KJ Osborne against Detroit that won the game with 45 seconds left. Or that beautiful throw, 5 yard throw, short throw to Osborne again against the
Mhm.
Cardinals that got us that 8 point lead and got us a much more comfortable lead and helped us win that game. So Kirk Cousins has been he's been doing that a lot this season. And when you make big plays in crunch time moments, again,
That
players pick
matters.
up on that. That
Hmm.
matters. Players pick up on that. They believe you. They believe that you're going to do that. They believe that you can lead them to a win when the game is tight. And the Vikings have played a lot of tight games this year. So
Right.
I
And
think
he's
that
what
is
got
helping.
what, 4 or 5 comebacks already
Yeah.
this season? And the fact that he can keep doing that instills in the team that, hey, we can do this. Kirk's led us before. We can do this again. Hey, so we're down a touchdown. No biggie. We're going to come back. Last week, we're down 10 points. No biggie. Kirk Cousins is
Yeah.
going to lead us back. And that's exactly what he did. That whole attitudinal change, and we'll get into what may have helped cause that. But, part of it is Mike Zimmer's gone, right? You play, he played with the pucker factor under Mike
Yeah.
Zimmer. If he was afraid if he did something wrong, he was going to get yelled at. And not that it was the yelling part that got it, but it was just, every single time, if you were imperfect, you got screamed at. And that's wrong. You don't want to be in a work environment like that. But now he feels more free. He feels a lot more relaxed, it looks like, to take the Aaron Rodgers, you know, term about it. And he's playing better when it is needed. Maybe across the board he isn't. We've gone to sleep too many quarters of this season, especially in the third quarter.
Yeah.
And but if we can get that and get it, well, that's no big deal. We'll get it in the fourth. And if you win the fourth, you generally win the game. And he has done that so far this season. And it has been glorious.
It sure has. What also has been glorious, David, and I think is another reason for this Kirk Cousins and the leadership thing has been, I got to give a lot of credit to Kevin O'Connell. Game Changer was getting at it below in his comment about a
Mm-hmm.
younger generation, a younger coach. But when Kevin O'Connell became head coach of this team, Dave, uh, he's been since that day one. He's been pumping Kirk Cousins tires big time. He spent every media, almost every media availability you've heard him talk about Kirk Cousins. He loves Kirk Cousins. He loves his arm talent. He thinks he's a good leader. And when you watch those wonderful, wonderful post-game locker room speeches where Kevin O'Connell is giving out the game balls. Almost every week, he's given a game ball to Kirk Cousins, even when Cousins hasn't really played, lights out. But like last week, he's given it to him, and he's saying things like, This guy, he's led us today like he has all season, and then the team goes wild, right? So Kevin O'Connell has really, I think, done a good job of creating a story that this Kirk Cousins that I know is a good leader. I
Mhm.
believe in him. The team believes in him, or they should believe in him. The fans should believe in him.
Well,
And
they're
I think that,
starting
again,
to. Even the
yeah,
Kirk haters are starting to come over because he is showing that when it counts, he's performing.
exactly. And I think that that again for Kirk Cousins, that's got to for a guy who's um, I don't know, he's a pro athlete, so he's got to be mentally tough. But it's got to help when again your head
Mhm.
coach is behind you, is constantly advocating for you, is saying that you're a good leader. Then you have no choice to believe it yourself. You have no choice to believe that you are the guy that he's saying you are, and the players follow with that too, especially if you're winning. Especially if you're winning.
Especially if you're winning.
But yeah, but from what I've seen, the players, like what you're seeing with On the Plane and Kirko Chainz, and that the players are buying into this. Kirk Cousins is a leader and a good leader, 100% right now, and and so that, that's all well and good. But how much of a difference does this make a difference as far as like the Vikings Super Bowl aspirations? And I think, David, that it might, because Kirk Cousins is a guy, rightly or wrongly, and I think mostly rightly, has had a reputation for not stepping up in big games,
Mhm.
wilting under the spotlight, playing his worst when he needs to play, when we need him at his best. And so again, if you've got a coach who's behind you, you've got players who are behind you, you start to believe yourself that you are a different player under this coaching staff and this team. Maybe that's got to give you more confidence, more mojo, whatever you want to call it. Maybe it's that secret sauce that allows him to not feel so much pressure in big games and play at the top level, the top Kirk Cousins level that we need him to play at in these big games.
Mhm.
And that could be the difference between the Vikings making the playoffs and losing in the first round, or them getting to the championship game, NFC championship game, actually winning it and having a chance to play for a Super Bowl and winning it.
Mhm.
Or at
Uh,
least we can dream about that anyway.
Raven talks about Zedarius is good for this team with the upbeat attitude. I think it was.
I agree. I agree.
I think it was Score North talking about it, Mackey in particular, that a lot of this positive stuff you're seeing, even with Kirk, Zedarius is right there. He's nearby. We know how that affected Daniil Hunter at the beginning. Daniil Hunter's a very quiet and reserved individual, right? But then he's got this big, wild, gregarious Zedarius Smith with him, and they become best of buds. Well, I think Zedarius is also bleeding a little bit of that over. It's, one of those people with an aura that just radiates. And it's bleeding over to Kirk, and he's giving Kirk all the praise as well. And that's got to soak in. And the whole idea of when it counts, you can trust me, right? We've got this. That we haven't seen in Kirk Cousins before. There was a little bit of it last year, right? You saw the picture of the whole fighting of Mike Zimmer, but it wasn't the same. There wasn't the positive vibes around it. Now the positive vibes, and it's just growing exponentially. Hey, we're 7-1, and people go, yeah, but they were against bad teams. Yeah, but would they be bad if they beat us? You know, if they win more games, would they be? If they beat us, if the Packers had beat us, then would they be screaming? If everybody had beat us that was not supposed, that was supposedly bad, would they be considered a bad team? Right? No, the Vikings obviously would, but it's no, it's the Vikings making their way, and a big chunk of that is this guy, Kirk Cousins, and his attitude change. Gotta love it. Absolutely have to love it. It is fantastic.
And we'll see how it holds out if the Vikings hit. Hopefully, they don't hit a rough stretch, and they've got some tough games coming up. But that's kind of a bit of a
Well, it's
litmus
going to be
test
a
for them as
test.
well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's going to be a test. Well, you see up there in the top left-hand corner, Badass Wood Art. Badass Wood Art is our sponsor for this first segment. It is Lewis. He does scroll saw art. You can see he's got a big piece there that says Skull Vikings. And if you want one, you get just put in promo code CT Pocket and get 20% off, right? Well, that's normal. Lewis is great. Well, guess who wanted one of his pieces? None other than Alexander Madison had him make
Oh,
it, and he
that's awesome.
delivered it today. We showed the piece last week, as in progress, or the week before, of Alexander Madison when he was in London drinking tea after a score. Well, he delivered it this week. And look at that smile on Alexander Madison. That is fantastic. And of course, Lewis is happy. So he makes them for everybody, whether it be the stars, and these Hollywood stars, for the players like Alexander Madison, or you and I. If you're looking for a cool, one of a kind, Christmas gift that you can put in your man cave, because we always want to give ourselves gifts, or your best buddy, check out That's Badass Wood Art.
Hmm. That's awesome that Madison
I
wanted
think
that
so.
that thing, and then they, hey. Um, but I always like Madison as a person,
Mm-hmm.
as well as a football player. He seems like a hell of a nice kid.
Mm-hmm. I think so too. Well, that brings us to theme two. And how I learned to stop worrying about the 50-50.
Peter Sellers,
Learn
Doctor
to love it.
Strangelove. Thank you, David. Classic.
I tried to. I was
Yeah.
hoping that'd make you happy.
Great movie. But
It
yeah,
was.
theme number two, David. We last week, something I think important happened in the Washington game, and um, Justin Jefferson, season opener, has like a humongous game, 175 yards against that team from Wisconsin, two touchdown passes, and he just looks like he's going to be a game wrecker. Well, he has been a game wrecker, but
Mm-hmm.
uh, he got the two touchdown passes in the first game, and then the following six games he didn't have a touchdown catch at all. Uh, and it seemed like we were still winning, of course, which is great. And Justin Jefferson was still putting up some monster games during that time, but it just seemed like that Kirk Cousins wasn't targeting him when we got into the red zone and in the end zone. That he was deciding that he didn't like the looks that he was getting, and that he was going to guys like Adam Thielen or Irv Smith or KJ Osborne or whoever, anybody other than Justin Jefferson.
Mm-hmm.
And that's, I don't care who scores the touchdowns for the Vikings when they do, just as long as the Vikings score touchdowns. And it makes sense that if Justin Jefferson is double covered or triple covered, uh, that and Adam Thielen is wide open in the end zone, well, you throw it to Adam Thielen or
Mm-hmm.
whoever, right? But I think it is a problem if you're consistently not throwing to your best offensive player, unless you consider Christian Darrisaw the Vikings' best offensive player, which he might be.
Well, maybe on a 2-point conversion, you might try that one.
Yeah, yeah. But it seems a problem if you're letting, coverage dictate when you're going to go to the best offensive player you have and the best offensive player, maybe one of the best offensive players in the NFL. And, great players, David, make great plays even when they
Mm-hmm.
are covered. And we saw that. And so what was what I in the Washington game, what we saw was that Kirk Cousins, when we got down near the Washington red zone in the end zone, he threw three basically 50-50 balls to Justin Jefferson. Something that we hadn't really been seeing before, where Justin Jefferson these were contested catches. One of them ended up being a touchdown on a great catch by JJ. One ended up getting intercepted, unfortunately and unlucky, really, on kind of a tip drill scenario.
Right.
And then the third one was incomplete, but JJ almost caught it. That one was contested too. So I found that encouraging. I thought that was significant. One is that again, great players make great plays even when they're covered. Uh, in when you've got a 50-50 ball with Justin Jefferson, there's two things I think that can happen. He's going to make a great catch and we get a touchdown, or on two of those incompletions, one interception and then the one that was incomplete, I think that the guy covering him, the guy in this photo, Benjamin St.
Mm-hmm.
Just, from Montreal, Canada, by the way. But Benjamin St. Just, I thought that he was pretty handsy on those plays. He got there a little bit early. It could have been called pass interference. Now, I don't think that they should have, but it could have been. I've seen less called.
Hmm.
And that's just the other outcome of these 50-50 balls is that A, it could be a touchdown, or the defender who's covering one of the best offensive players in the league get panics trying to prevent a great player from
Right.
making a great play. And either of those outcomes are great outcomes for the Vikings offense. So, chuck it up to JJ, right? Uh,
Hmm.
and and uh,
Absolutely.
and uh, and the thing that I feel is that in Kirk Cousins in his time here, David, maybe you agree, maybe you don't. You can chime in, but in the 4 years I've seen him play, he's a guy who likes to. It seems he likes to see guys open. Like he doesn't
Yeah.
like to throw the contested ball because he's worried about it getting intercepted. So very encouraging to see him try 3 of those 50-50 balls. And the guy up here, again, got to give him credit because he's been encouraging Kirk Cousins lately to try those throws. You see that quote up there where he says, I think sometimes we just got to give our best players chances to just make plays. I have a ton of confidence in Justin in those 50-50s for it not to ultimately be a 50-50. And that's really important, right? Because a 50-50 ball to somebody like KJ Osborne or Jalen Reagor probably is a 50-50 ball. But you throw a
Right.
50-50 ball to Justin Jefferson, there's
He's
probably a
going
pretty good
to, most
chance
likely
he's
he's
going to
going to
get it.
catch it. I would say even
Yeah.
Adam Thielen for that matter. And but that all came from him talking to him and say, I know you're used to, if you don't see the numbers on the jersey, don't throw it there. Right? That was always Kirk's deal. I got to see the numbers on the jersey.
Yeah.
To know he's open. Minimum to know he's open. And now it's like, no, I don't care if you don't see it. I want you to go there because your playmakers are going to make the play. And he started to do that. And he started to do that, like we said in the first part, in the most important of times. And and there we go, losing Darren again, must be solar flares up in Canada there. Christopher Gates. We joke. That's a family joke. But anyways, it's going to take. Hey, Electrite, we're going to get into that here in the third segment. Um, but it takes that willingness to go out and take that chance to learn to reprogram his head to say, hey, I can make that throw. All I got to do is throw it to the guy, and Justin Jefferson's going to jump up and grab it. And he has. And that's a huge change over the previous administration and how they have wanted him to throw the ball. You talked about how uh, Teddy was loved because Teddy would do what he was told,
Mhm.
basically, and he'd play conservative, and that's cool. And then they could feature the run game. Now it's Kevin O'Connell wants to feature the pass game, and who's your best pass asset besides Kirk Cousins? It's the guy catching the ball, Justin Jefferson, one of the top 5 wide receivers in the league, one of the top 3 if you want to count it that way, and possibly the best, and is on his way to prove that. So it should be it's a good thing that this has happened. It's a good thing that Kevin O'Connell's gotten into Kirk Cousins' ears and say, "Hey, throw it up. Justin's going to catch him."
Yes, sir. And he actually threw, I'd say, a fourth 50-50 ball, David, in that game that got intercepted initially. But Benjamin St. Just was like had mauled Justin Jefferson to get that interception,
Mm-hmm.
and it ended up being a pass PI for us, and we got the first down out of it. And again, we kept on moving and got a
Kept on
score on that
trucking.
drive. Yeah.
Keep on trucking,
Uh,
baby.
and that's what happens when you throw the ball to your best player. It's going to be a pretty good play 80% of the time.
Mm-hmm. Uh, I agree with you
Don't
100%.
don't don't let the coverage dictate all the time. Not that you're going to go somewhere other than go to a lesser player and not go to Justin Jefferson. I guess that's what Kevin O'Connell's been trying to drum
Mm-hmm.
into Kirk Cousins'
Especially if he's
head,
one on one.
yeah, one on one
Mm-hmm.
particularly, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, encouraging, and we'll see if that continues on Sunday, which will be
Okay.
our next theme.
But first, our favorite part of the show, Lake Monster Brewing. You're wearing your hat. I'm not, but that's okay.
As long as one of us is.
Yep, the boys at the brewery have been hard at work. They have some new beer on tap this week. They have a raspberry sour to go along with the blackberry sour. If you're in a fruity mood, that's the way to go, baby. Top that with a hot apple cider, right? And hot apple cider ale. You can't go wrong. You're going to have a good time. Then in the pints, we got a few new ones in the can now available for sale. St. Paul Pub Ale, which could be an everyday drinker. You have your Murmur Milk Stout if you're the stout type. I love me a good stout, especially this time of year. And for those that like hard seltzers, they've got that too. So everything is there, available. Go down and check. You know, they have the great outdoor space, but if you aren't into the cold that seems to have come over the upper Midwest and dripped all the way down here to Austin, they got tables indoors. Go inside and have a great time. Make memories. That's with Lake Monster Brewery. And they make fantastic beers and great memories. And that brings us on to Theme 3. Vikings versus the Bills. And we're going to start.
Big game, big game, David.
Big
game. Huge game. Huge.
Huge. As they say in New York. We're going to start with the weather forecast.
Very important in Buffalo this time of year.
Yes, it is. There it is. It is better than anticipated at the beginning of the week. There are your temps, there are your feel likes, and there are your winds. I have the winds coming out of the west. I included a seating map below so you can see what direction that is. West and northwest comes from, you have the Vikings sideline will be up there at the top. It will come from the left side of your image and blow down the field. So that is, I believe, the more open side of the stadium. So kicking into that direction will be a little bit difficult. And, you know, temperatures in the 40s, low 40s, wind chills feels like into the low 30s. That's nothing extraordinary compared to what's happening in Minnesota right now. That's normal. I don't expect the temperature to be a big deal. The wind, even though it's not great, you know, 13 miles an hour, probably gusts 20-ish. They'll have to watch that. But that's your weather for tomorrow. And it is better than what was forecasted at the beginning of the week. Now let's get into the injury reports. Vikings
stuff.
Tomlinson out. Dantzler out. Right? And we got news on Dantzler here momentarily. For the Bills, they got starter Jordan Peterson out and Greg Rousseau out, which is good. For us, Kyer Elam, their cornerback, is doubtful. Josh Allen as questionable on their official report, and Tremaine Edmonds also as questionable. Whether those guys play, they've got real good starting linebackers, but they've been hurt. That may impact TJ Hawkinson. But we'll find out. The news I said hinting at Cameron Dantzler before the game this morning, all right, 1 o'clock, 1:15, Ian Rappaport put out that Cameron Dantzler has been put on IR for a minimum of 4 games at least. It is due to an ankle injury that indicates a high ankle sprain. That means we're going to see a lot more of the young rookie corners, be it Evans, and we may even see a little bit of Booth. We'll get into our number stats, and I know this is hard for the folks that are listening on podcast after the fact, but this is how we match up. Vikings for PFF has the Vikings offense 8th, the Bills defense 4th. Now, there's going to be a theme about this whole spiel. The Bills are good. Just to let you know, they're very good. So this is going to be a test. Football Outsiders has our offense dropping a little bit to 16th, 17th in pass, and 8th in the run versus the 4th overall defense. They have them as 5th in pass, 6th against the run. And then when you get into the hard numbers, the Elias Sports Bureau numbers, your box score numbers, the Vikings are 15th in yards, 10th in passing, 24th in rushing, and 8th in points. The points is the big deal, that we're top 10 in points. Let's move that up and get in the top 5. They've given up 16 sacks. They're 5th in turnovers with 8. Given up 8.
That's a good 5, by the way.
Yeah, that's a good 5.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's 5th best.
Yeah.
As in the worst, is giving up a lot more. When it gets to the defense on the Bills, they're 4th in yards. They don't give up many. They're 7th against the pass. That's their weakest point. They're 6th against rushing. That's also a point. A lot of injuries has affected that. But they're number 1 in points. They do their stingy defense. They do not like people scoring on them. They're 11th in sacks with 23. They're 13th in turnovers. They've got a +1 differential. And they're 4th in takeaways with 15. It's an awful lot. Vikings, as of when I checked last night, are 3 points down. Hey, Philip. And the over-under, I believe, is, got to move that, 42.5. So they went from a 9.5 point underdog to a 3 point underdog. That tells us Vegas is thinking Josh Allen isn't playing. At least as of last night.
And we know Vegas knows things, David.
Yes, they do. Now, when we flip the side, Vikings defense per PFF power ranking is 21st versus the Bills offense, which is 2nd. It's gonna be a test, people. It will be a freaking test. As Raymond says, we need to stay away from the 3 and outs. Football Outsiders has us overall as 19th on defense, 16th against pass, 19th against run. They have their offense only 6 overall, 6 with the pass, and 20th on the run. Their run game is not their strongest suit. When we get to Elias, we have the Vikings defense 26th, but that's moving up. 27th against passing, 6th against rushing, or 9th against rushing. We're getting better at stopping the rush. And we're 12th on points. We're moving up on that too. Let's get that in the top 10. We're 10th in sacks with 24. We're 4th in turnovers with a +6 differential, and that means a lot. And we're 6th with takeaways. We have 14. On their offensive side, they're 1st in yards. Right? The Bills are good. They're 3rd in passing. They're 13th in rushing, which shows their weakness. They're 3rd in points. They can score. They've taken 16 sacks, and they are 28th in turnovers. They've given up 14. Now, the big deal out of this is the Buffalo Bills, even though they get a lot of turnovers, they give a lot of turnovers. They tend to lose the ball frequently. It hasn't hurt them to this point, unless you want to call their last loss against the Jets a hurt, but that's who they are. Then we get into the final slide when it comes to the numbers, the special teams. Vikings stay steady at 25, and this includes all special team play, not just kicking. Whereas the Bills actually have gone down, and they are now ranked 5th in DVOA when it comes to special teams. And as you can see through all of those, the Bills are basically better in all aspects of this game, but there are avenues to take advantage of them. but this will be a test. Question is, will the Vikings pass? Big question is this man,
Yes,
Josh
I see
Allen, their
Josh Allen.
superstar quarterback.
Timothy Slack just had a comment saying that Rappaport has tweeted out that Josh Allen is going to start tomorrow. We'll see if that's the case. Any talk in this game starts with Josh Allen because his David his mobility, his arm strength, his ability to make plays and big plays off schedule, or when a play that looks like it's doomed, it should be a throwaway, and he turns it into a first down or a big play. Josh Allen can do those sorts of things. His ability to do those sorts of things is, and other things are, he's got that talent that to do things that the Vikings defense probably is not going to be able to handle all that well at times. As no defense has really handled him very well, except the Jets last week. But so huge thing there with Allen if he's playing. The Vikings probably their path to winning this game is probably a lot of like somebody else was saying about cutting down the 3 and outs. You're probably going to, if Josh Allen is playing, and the Vikings are going to need to have 3 or 4 drives that are 8 minutes or more. They're going to have to score touchdowns on the majority of those,
Mm-hmm.
3 of those 4, and on the drives that they don't score, they're going to have to not be 3 and outs. They're going to have to eat up some of the clock, and they're also not going to. They can't turn the ball over on
and,
those
and
drives if they
especially
don't
in good
score.
field position. Yeah.
Yeah, and good field position. So, and that whole thing is like, again, keep the ball away from Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs and Dawson and Knox and Gabe Davis. Give them the ball as little time as possible. That'll keep their scoring average down. And this is a team that averages 27.5 points per game, which you already saw is third in the league. So that'll keep the game close. And the Vikings are very, very comfortable playing close games this year. We've seen
Mm-hmm.
that.
Yeah.
They've won them all, and so that's the path to success if Josh Allen plays. But that requires the Vikings to play pretty much a perfect game in a lot of ways. And the Vikings are 7-1. They've been very resilient, David, but perfect. They have not
They have not been.
been.
No.
They have not been. But maybe this is the game.
Oh, no. They have not been. The question is, Josh Allen, um, are we getting the perfect Josh Allen or the best Josh Allen? His injury is his ulnar, supposedly his ulnar nerve and his ulnar center ligament, cruciating ligament or something like that. I'm not a biologist. I'm not a doctor, but I do know the ulnar nerve because I've had issues with mine. It's the nerve that runs right through the middle of your elbow. You can feel it in your lump, and it goes down and it affects these two fingers on your hand. And so there's problems with grip that may cause problems. But with Josh Allen happens to be their biggest run producer. He averages, I think it's 6.2 yards per carry. You got to watch him because his ability, he's big, he's a large guy. He can go in and he can bang out yards just by running the ball. And our run defense is going to have to watch out for that. And there was speculation, even if he can't throw the ball, they might bring in Case Keenum for that, but Josh Allen to run the ball because he is so important that way. But if, big if, right? We talk about Vegas knowing their stuff. Big if he's not playing, um, we get Case Keenum, right?
We do, that would be a huge plus for the Vikings, David, obviously. Um, Case Keenum is a guy that, yes, he's a pro. He's got 64 starts in the NFL, but this preseason, and I know it's preseason, but this preseason he played pretty poorly. He actually got outplayed most of the time by Matt Barkley, and
Mm-hmm.
and he's not the 2017 Case Keenum. He's actually 2017 has been the only year he's ever played like that. So he's not as mobile. He's mobile, but he's not nearly the running threat that Josh Allen is. He doesn't have the bazooka of an arm that Josh Allen has. So this Bills offense if Case Keenum is the quarterback, is not going to be able to perform like it does under Josh Allen. It won't be as consistent. It won't be as explosive. We won't be able to score as many points, and or they shouldn't. And you talked about the running thing again, like Dave. Josh Allen is the Bills' number one rushing guy. Like he's their
Mm-hmm.
top rusher, and if he's not in the game, then that takes away the design quarterback runs that they give him a lot of time, especially in the red zone, and that takes away a lot of the read option stuff. So this is a huge tipping point, and not allowing the Bills to score 27.5 points a game is important because, as you said, the defense is also very, very good.
Mm-hmm.
um, our old pal Leslie Frazier has got this defense playing very well. They've got very good players on all units. Von Miller, pitcher up there. Uh,
And the fact that he is playing at such a high level at his age is amazing to me. He's a future
it
Hall of
is.
Famer. He'll go
Oh,
in
no,
no matter what.
no doubt,
Um,
no doubt. Yes,
it's just,
but you
but he's
got
playing
him. You got
great
Yeah, you got him. You got Ed Oliver. You got Matt Milano, who's back. Tremaine Edmonds, if he plays, is another
if he
very
plays.
rangy
Mm-hmm.
sideline to sideline guy. It doesn't look like Tre'Davious White will be back this week, which is a plus for the Vikings, but he was eligible to come off the injured reserve, but I guess he's not
Right.
ready. Jordan Poyer's out. That's big. Greg Rousseau was their second leading sack guy, so him being out could be huge, but still a lot of very good players on the Bears defense. They only give up 14.8 points per game. There's been 3 games this year where they've given up 10 points or less. So they're
Right.
tough to score on. They're tough to
Yes, they
score
are.
on. And if you watched the Vikings last week and you saw how they struggled to move the ball consistently against a very good Washington front five, you can't help but be pretty worried about how things are going to go against this Buffalo defense with
Mm.
the way our offense has been so many empty drives uh, throughout the season, and so it's going to be a huge challenge for the Vikings offense. Kevin O'Connell has said that, but they they need to score 20 points or more in this game to even be in it, especially if Josh Allen is playing.
Mm-hmm.
And this might be one of those games where the Vikings have to maybe break some tendencies offensively. They they pass 64% of the time, but the Bills, the last 2 weeks anyway, have been gashed by the running game. That team from Wisconsin ran for 208 yards against them 2 weeks ago. The Jets in the win ran for 178 or
Mm-hmm.
175, I believe, and that was a
Right.
big reason they won. So the Vikings might have to, passing the ball might be difficult. They're going to need to run the ball well. Dalvin Cook is going to, I think, this could be, he hasn't had a monster game yet, but
But
he's going
this
to be
may
playing
be it,
against, this may be it. He's playing against his
especially with the
brother.
wind. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's playing against his brother James Cook. I think he's going to be extra motivated for that. Uh, if Dalvin Cook has a 130, 140-yard game, that's going to be huge for the Vikings offense because passing the ball, if it's a little windy against the tough Bills defense that puts pressure on quarterbacks, that could be, that's going to be, I think, that's going to be huge for the Vikings because this might be a game where the offense running the ball could be just as important or more important in how we move it than passing the ball. And our interior offensive linemen, they can't get whipped like they did last week against Washington, Dave. And I'm looking at Ezra Cleveland in particular on that one with his zero pass Pro Football Focus
That
passing
was,
grade.
and Ezra was doing so great this year. I mean, there was talk of he's almost at Pro Bowl level, and
Yeah.
then last week 0.
Mm,
I hopefully they've got that figured out, fixed, whatever. The line coach figured out, hey, this is why you were getting beat, or
yeah.
it was some sort of key that the defensive lineman had picked up, and that's we'll see. the The Bills defense isn't known as a pass pressure producing defense. Not as one of the best. They can produce pressure, and Von Miller is obviously great. Um, but hopefully, and Von Miller came out this week and said, "We're playing the best offensive line we have all year." When he looks at this, I don't know if he's looking at the interior or if he's looking at the tackles. Right? O'Neal and Darisaw having great seasons. Yeah, I could see Von Miller saying, "Oh shit, I'm going to
Yeah.
have it's going to be a game today. Um, but the rest of the line,
Yeah.
we have Ezra up there. Ezra's my boy. I got Ed on the other side. I want Ed to be my boy too. And of course, Bradbury in the middle. Hopefully he stays stout. Speaking of Murmur Stout, we should name that after a center that has sand in the pants. Anyways, um, got that, Matt? Matt, you should be watching. That's a good idea for a beer name. Anyways, um, but they should be able to, if they can hold up, give Kirk Cousins time, give Jefferson time to get downfield, give Thielen time to get downfield, give TJ Hawkinson across the middle, KJ short. Think. Who's ever open, dump it, go. Let's do this. Yes, Ford man, Darisaw versus Von Miller should be a great matchup, and it's going to be fun to watch tomorrow. I agree with that 100%.
The Bills defense, Dave, makes you really grind out drives, which is difficult to do in
Mm-hmm.
the NFL, right? Like they don't give up a whole lot of big plays normally, and so you got to string together those 8, 7, 8, 9, 10 play drives, which is hard to do against a very good defense. So that's an issue. I think one thing that's going to be important is when Drew Bunting, Drew, who's not on the you must be watching the Michigan or
I
something
don't know
on
why he's not on. We even feature him today.
Yeah, he's got this. When you're playing on the road in a tough place, there's going to be 60 plus thousand drunk Buffalo fans, loud as all hell, out there,
Gotta love him.
and yeah, and so you play in an environment like that against a very 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 good team, and you got to like can't let the game spiral out of control right from the get go. And Drew likes to call this the full tilt boogie mode, where just you just lose control of the game, you get your ass kicked, and you lose 45 to 10 or 7 like the Titans lost this year in Buffalo.
Mm-hmm.
We don't want that. I think how you can help not you can help with not preventing that from happening is the Vikings first offensive drive. They've scored on touchdown on 5 of their 8 first offensive drives this year. That is an excellent ratio. They've got to do that again tomorrow, and that kind of settle the game down, Dave. It'll get the
Mm-hmm.
crowd a little bit grumpy. It'll get them a little bit silent. It'll create some doubt into the minds of the Buffalo team. It's a great like settler, and it forces Buffalo, especially if you've got that first drive and you score a touchdown on it,
Mm-hmm.
forces them to play from behind right away. So the Vikings have been very good at that this year, doing that to teams. They got to do that again tomorrow against the Bills. That's going to be key. And don't let things go full tilt boogie. Don't be down 20 to nothing in the first, at the end of the first half or worse. Uh, like we saw, or 21 to 24 to 7, like we saw against the Eagles, right? Then you're just out of the game. You're going to have to pass all the time. The run will be out the window. It's just not a good scene for the Vikings. And so that's a key. I think the other thing, Dave, is that um, it's time for the Vikings. If you look at all the stats, are analytical, traditional. Other than wins and losses, nobody outside of a Vikings homer thinks that the Vikings are a superior team to the Buffalo Bills.
Most
And
nobody,
yeah,
yes.
and
They're
I
starting to
can't
get some love, but
yeah, I can't disagree with that assessment either. Um, but I think the Bills are overall a better team. But um, the Vikings, this is a huge statement game for them. This is a chance for them to change that narrative that we're hearing, where they're pretenders, right? Uh, hmm, huge news there. So this is a prove
this
it game for the
came
Vikings.
in just 15 minutes before the show. Yes, uh, because the Bills have not brought up their third string quarterback. That means Josh Allen. Um, yes, Josh Allen will be set to play tomorrow. They say start. Um, we're going to see Josh Allen.
Mhm. And that's okay. If there's any way for the Vikings to erase some of the doubts, change the minds of people, as you go into Buffalo with
And
Josh
you
Allen
whoop
starting,
their ass.
or just win, right? Like
Well,
punch
I'd like
above
a
your weight.
whooping, but
Yeah,
Yeah.
a whooping. Yeah, I'm not expecting. I'll take a win, but punch above your weight. The
Yeah.
Vikings have traditionally, in a big game, have come up small. They played like hobbits against league giants. They don't play very well under the bright lights. Well, here's a chance for Kevin O'Connell and his then the Vikings team to change that narrative, to get to change the continue to change the culture of the team, and have us, not settle for just being good. Let's be great, right?
Hmm.
Like I'm not going to be happy if the Vikings lose tomorrow and they lose close. Let's get a win. Well,
Yeah.
if you're going to win the Super Bowl, and that's what we all want, you got to beat teams like Buffalo somewhere down the line.
Right. And I think
So
it's a good test. Now
yeah,
Fordman says if we lose, that would prepare us more for the playoffs. I disagree. If we win and can beat an outstanding team like Buffalo, and like you talked about, the key phrase, punch above your weight. We saw all the stats, right? The Vikings are decent in a lot of stats. The Bills are better,
yeah,
right? So punch up, punch above your weight. If you can beat that better team, that builds even more confidence. We talk about the confidence building of the coming back for all those games with Kirk Cousins, whatever. They go in to Buffalo Stadium. Obviously, Buffalo fans are rabid. We love them. We have a bunch of history with them. We have the empathy of the 4 Super Bowl losses together, the whole thing. They're going to be pumped for this. I also
oh
expect
yeah,
some Vikings fans to be there because we travel well, but they're going to be pumped. This is going to be a contest. This is a national broadcast for 90% of the nation. If you're in the other 10%, I feel sorry for you. This is going to be the game of the week at the noontime game, right? This is going to be fantastic. And the question is, will the Vikings go in there, punch above their weight, keep in this game, and can they pull off the win? I'd love them to dominate, but we don't expect that. We expect this to be a close, hard-fought game. That way, if they do win, it is a test. Do I think it helps prepare them for the Super Bowl? Yes. Do I view this as a possible Super Bowl preview? Absolutely. This could be it. And what an epic Super Bowl that would be. The press would absolutely love that, promoting that. The 2 0-4 teams battling out to see which one comes home with the Lombardi first. But Raymond says keep it close, keep it competitive, and come out with the win. Absolutely, Raymond, you got it.
that's what
Ford.
the Jets did last week. Now they were at home, but and their defense is, I think, is playing, really well. But that's it. And Josh Allen, as great as he is, as fantastic as he is, not by
Mm-hmm.
the river counters. Yeah, true, Davey. But Josh Allen, as great as he is, he's thrown 4 interceptions the last 2 games, and they have been bad interceptions deep, a few of them like deep in the red zone, costing the Bills scoring opportunities. And they've been throws that I'm not even sure I would have made if I was there. Like they were like bad interceptions. So hopefully that Josh Allen is around tomorrow as well, because the Vikings
Mm-hmm.
have been doing pretty well on the turnovers
Oh, yes,
themselves
they
lately.
have. Oh, yes, they have. As we saw, they're like 4th in getting turnovers. And Josh Allen has been, giving them up.
But you don't
Hey, G
want
Mac, thanks for joining us at the end of the show.
GMAC, yeah. Yeah, there was talking about meat at the quarterback. That's always a key, Dave. But
That's a huge
the
one.
thing about Josh Allen, though, is that if we want to meet at the quarterback, we don't want him to get outside the pocket too much, because
Right.
especially when he rolls, I
Contain,
think it's
collapse, and
when he
contain.
contain him. When he rolls, gets out of the pocket, and he rolls right, he makes a lot of big plays doing that. And so that's going to be a focus for all teams that face Josh Allen. It's going to be one for the Vikings. Can they do it? That remains to be seen, but it's going to be important for them to do it.
Mm-hmm. Davey put, oops, rivet counters. Davey, I'll get it with you offline. I've got some good stories about rivet counters. It's an Air Force term. Anyways, G-Mac says you sound like him a couple days ago. I hope you feel better, G-Mac, if that's the case. But we've got a huge game tomorrow. It's at noon. It is a national broadcast. I get to watch it live, which warms my heart, other than wasting money on Sunday ticket. But I don't care because no lag. It's going to be beautiful. Are you getting it up there in Yellowknife?
I haven't actually checked, but I'm pretty sure we do. It's just yeah, it'll be on one of the channels that's carrying the game for sure.
Ford-Man, I'd love to see Hitman continue his interception streak. 2 would be sweet, but just to continue with 1, I think would be great. And then to get the young corners, be it Evans or maybe even Booth involved, it should be good. Well, that brings us towards the end of the show. I want to thank everybody that's joined us, found their way over on YouTube, since for some reason things weren't working on Facebook today. I appreciate that. As always, please like, subscribe, ring the bell. It helps us. We don't ask for donations like some other shows. We may do that in the future if I ever figure out how. But it's we appreciate you coming here. The whole purpose is building community and talk about the things we love, the Minnesota Vikings. We may not agree on everything, but we do love the team and we want them to succeed. Ford-Man, you'll have it on in Tennessee. Outstanding.
We always have a lot of great comments from our viewers.
We do, and they're absolutely fantastic. And it's them, the community, that we absolutely love. Davey, I believe it is. I believe the only places are obscure, like Indianapolis or someplace like that. I literally think I saw the viewers map. I think it is on in New York City. You will have to check. I will look afterwards, and I want to talk to you anyways privately when it comes to rivet counters, because we may have 2 different versions of that. Purple Haze, good to see both of us. We love
good to see
you
you,
guys
Purple Haze.
as well. I need some more whiskey. I am out of this, but I opened a new bottle. I got plenty, and I've got cleaning to do. Why? You wonder why? Why does Dave have to clean? Well, that's a good question, because Dave doesn't like cleaning. But anyways, I've got a special guest tomorrow. Tomorrow on the final cut, or the final score, when we go live in the final 2 minutes, I have the founder of Climb in the Pocket, Mr. Jason Brown, man of renown, coming all the way down from Ottawa to do the show with me here.
That's also in Canada, folks, if you don't know, never heard of Ottawa before.
Yeah. Jason married himself a Canadian lady, beautiful woman, and but he's coming down here, and he is in town already. He will do the show with me tomorrow. We're going to have a good time and hopefully celebrate a Vikings win. Any last words there, Darren?
I am looking forward to the game tomorrow, David. I hope it's a game that warrants me looking forward to it. I am a little bit nervous that this one might be a full tilt boogie type deal, but I got faith in the Vikings. I got faith in Kevin O'Connell that this game will be a lot different than the Eagles game that we saw on week 2.
I think so too.
We're gonna put out a good showing, and if I were to predict the score, I wouldn't predict the Vikings to win, especially now with Josh Allen playing. But again, punch above your weight, play big when you need to play big. Let's surprise some people, including ourselves.
The Vikings may win. I don't think it's going to be a massive scoring game, but I think the Vikings may win. I hope they do. But like I said, join us all tomorrow, folks. We go live in the final 2 minutes. It should be a blast. And what do we say?
We say, Skol Vikings!
Skol Vikings!
Batman voice.
Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, and ring the bell, and rate us on your favorite aggregator. And a special shout out goes to our partners, the Daily Norseman, where the best Vikings content can be found, and to Lake Monster Brewing, home of the best beer in Minnesota. Skol, everybody.